Welcome. This presentation is an audit of institutional evasion, examining the chain of custody, or rather the deliberate breaking of it in the grooming gang scandal between 2012 and 2026. The deletion schedule is active and we're going to look at exactly how it happened. We begin with the baseline of failure during Keir Starmer's tenure as Director of Public Prosecutions at the CPS. During this era, the infamous 2012 Rochdale grooming gang convictions, known as Operation Span, only occurred because an earlier 2009 CPS decision not to prosecute was forcibly overturned. As a review by the New Law Journal noted at the time, prosecutors invariably considered victims to be hopelessly lacking in credibility. Instead of facing the courts, abusers were handed a substitute for justice, child abduction warning notices, colloquially known by whistleblowers as Pedophile ASBOs. Under a nationwide rollout, local police forces and the CPS standardised these notices as a national template. They were subsequently issued tens of thousands of times across the country. Under the law, the intent of these notices was to disrupt criminal activities where evidence for a substantive offence is currently lacking, warning the suspect that they have no permission to associate with a vulnerable child. The reality of their application was very different. They were used systematically by police and prosecutors as an easy way out to avoid complex, resource-heavy rape prosecutions. The outcome left vulnerable girls in extreme danger while creating an illusion of police action, keeping the true scale of the crisis completely out of the criminal courts. Fast forward to January 8, 2025, a Conservative amendment to the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill demanded a comprehensive national inquiry into the grooming gang scandal. Prime Minister Keir Starmer justified his resistance to the inquiry by claiming, "Survivors I spoke with today made it clear they want change now, not more delays." This resulted in a massive political blockade. The amendment was defeated with 364 votes against the inquiry and only 111 for it. As Shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp stated, it's appalling that Sir Keir Starmer has used his majority to shut down calls for justice. Eventually, bowing to pressure, the government launched an inquiry. On June 16, 2025, Baroness Louise Casey published the National Audit on Group-Based Child Sexual Exploitation. Her directive was explicit. Local authorities, police forces and other relevant agencies should in the meantime be required not to destroy any relevant records. The action taken by the government to enforce this was none. To understand why this is catastrophic, you have to understand the bureaucracy of destruction. Records in the public sector are not kept until someone decides to destroy them. They're destroyed automatically unless someone manually intervenes. The system doesn't pause for political urgency or pending inquiries. In Britain, you don't need to manually delete records to orchestrate a cover-up. All you have to do is wait. And wait is exactly what they did. From Baroness Casey's instruction on June 16, 2025 to January 14, 2026, when Permanent Secretary Antonio Romeo finally wrote to the National Police Chiefs Council to halt deletions, there was a 212-day void. That's 212 days of uninterrupted automated deletion. For 7 months, the administrative paper trail was allowed to vanish on schedule. What exactly was lost? Criminal records like conviction files and formal prosecution bundles are safe as they're held for up to 100 years, but criminal records only tell you who was punished. The records of administrative failure, referral logs, social worker emails, unescalated safeguarding meeting minutes and intelligence reports sit on short 3 to 7 year automated deletion clocks. These are the files that tell you who looked the other way, and they were allowed to be deleted. By October 2025, the relationship between the state and the victims broke down entirely. Following the obfuscation of evidence, survivors formally resigned from the government's official rape gang survivor panel. Victims described being kept in the dark in a toxic environment, noting that the Home Office held secret meetings and systematically withheld vital information. Furthermore, Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips refused to support calls for a fully independent national inquiry. This betrayal carries a severe human cost, as Fiona Goddard, one of the resigning members of the Survivor panel, stated in October 2025, being dismissed and contradicted by a minister when you're telling the truth takes you right back to that feeling of not being believed all over again. What we are looking at is a continuous cycle of evasion. It begins with substitute justice in 2012 by issuing warning notices instead of prosecuting. It moves to blocking national investigations in January 2025. It proceeds to erasing the trail by allowing a 212-day automated deletion window. And it concludes by creating a toxic environment that alienates the victims. The result is that the truth remains buried. The ultimate takeaway from this audit is chillingly simple. They didn't have to actively destroy the evidence, they just had to wait for the clock to run out. If you want the unvarnished truth without the manufactured outrage, you know where to find us. Hit like, subscribe and comment. See you next time.